Welcome to Around the Old Town. With me is Peter Schafer, Superintendent of Abington Schools. Peter, thanks again for being with us.
I appreciate you taking the time out to help me with this.
I think it's our third annual preschool opening. I'm pretty sure it's our third. We've interviewed you many times, but purposely this time for the preschool opening of the 2013-14 academic school year. Of course, I'm glad you're here again. You're obviously working hard here.
Appreciate it.
Let's start off, Peter, with what's new coming up. Is that a good way to get this ball rolling?
Sure. We're excited about the opening of the school season. It's what we do. It's our purpose. It's our function. It's our mission. And what I'm most excited about is the community of Abington. We serve the best kids ever and the best families ever that I could ever hope to work with. And as we get closer to the opening of the school year, I get more and more excited. I've never had to, a lot of people are, oh, the summer's over, and I certainly, believe me, there's a part of me that enjoys the summer like everybody else and the time, but it just feels right to get open and get going and get back to our mission in terms of what we do. And I get more and more excited as we get closer because I see more and more people, whether it's our administrative team or our teachers that are coming in, and then most excited when the students arrive. Because over the summer we do work. There's curriculum work, there's supplies, there's materials, there's inspections of buildings, there's maintenance of buildings, there's schedules, there's rosters, there's food service, there's transportation. You don't necessarily realize that all of that stuff goes on behind the scenes. So I'm really lucky that I work with people in Abington that just take great pride and great responsibility for all of those things that I just described, because our mission to kids is so important. And then when you turn the key and flick the switch, where all that planning starts to, you see it play out, it's just very rewarding for me personally. So that's why I get excited about the start of the school year. Again, because, bus routes, roster schedules, curriculum, hiring new people, getting great teachers in front of kids to do a great job. And then you watch those things develop when the kids are here. It's our place, it's our mission, and it just, sorry. I'm thrilled. I don't mean to roll about it.
Your enthusiasm is just coming out.
It's what we do.
Right. It's like you said too. We all have our summer vacation, and you enjoy the time to get to spend with your family, because people like yourself that put in all these hours, you don't always get quality time during the school year. So it is a time to catch up with your children and your wife, and a lot of us that have children in the schools look forward to school starting again, because we get a lot of extra time with our kids, and now we can put them back in a more learning environment. And so we're looking forward to the school year opening up as well. And as you said, it's important. There's so much work that's done from end of June through first week of September that most of us aren't aware of, behind the scenes stuff.
And the people that touch all of this work are just people that I respect and admire. Technology, maintenance, custodial, secretarial, administration. They just take so much pride in what they do, and I'm proud of the work that they do, and it gets me excited to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And I live it at home too. I mean, I've got 3 kids who are staying up too late right now, and getting up too late right now, and I start to get them into the school sleep cycle round about now, and so I live it as a parent too, and so it's nice to see it from both sides.
One thing you mentioned, the school cycle. One question some people ask me, I grew up in Boston, is we start before Labor Day.
Yeah.
Can you explain the
last couple of years are a great example of one of the good reasons to do that, and there are a couple. And I know that's people have family trips and plans, and I can never tell you it's a good idea to not be here for the opening of school. We want kids here, and you should be. And if people have other things that they must do, that's okay. You need to make that decision as a family. But I'll tell you, after the last couple of years, I think we've had literally earthquakes, hurricanes, and we haven't had tidal waves and tornadoes and tsunamis. But the last couple of years, we've lost so many school days just in the first opening of school, first couple of weeks, because of electrical problems or storms, and then certainly in the winter. It's no surprise that we don't live in Tampa. On any given winter day, we could have a cancellation that could last more than a day. And so there are school systems around us that go to school during April breaks or go to school till the end of June, because you can't really go to school in July because you have to close your books fiscally. You can't pay people beyond June 30th, so you got to get your school year done before the change of the fiscal year. And so it creates great stress and more turmoil in these systems that go back after Labor Day. And so we have that benefit. The other reason is that just in terms of the temperature, we don't have air conditioning in our buildings. To be in a schoolhouse at the end of June when it's 90 degrees out and the humidity's at 90%, I can tell you it's not the most productive time. People work hard to make it productive and meaningful. It's just not. It's so much more efficient and better for kids. And the other thing, the advantage we have is we have this this opening schedule where our students are coming back to a shorter week, and then they have a long weekend, a short week, and we sort of walk them into a full-time schedule.
Right.
And I said I get my kids into the sleep cycle at my house. I recommend other people do that, because you can't just stay up till, my kids are teenage years now, and that's what a lot of teenagers do. They're up till
12:30, 1 in the morning.
However late before you wake up as a parent and say, hey, go to bed. And that's not good to get up the next morning, especially with the stress that they have as teenagers, because when they're teenagers, the way they look in the morning is going to be more important than having the right notebook. And unfortunately, that's the way teenagers think. And so they're going to be up early, a lot of them, or oversleeping because they're up too late. And both are bad, because getting 3 or 4 hours sleep and then going to school is bad, or sleeping through school and being late is bad. So
it's not productive for anyone.
No.
Okay, so now we have the school year starting August 27th,
Yes, students report August 27th.
and we have no changes of facilities running. All the school grades are in the same
Yep.
buildings.
We're very fortunate that in terms of infrastructure, we're maintaining the structure we have right now with the grade configuration that people are aware of. Down the road, we're looking to get into a school construction renovation project, and I can talk about that later.
Yes, please.
But yes, our structure is the way it's been.
So the pre-K and K are at the old center school.
Pre-K and K are at the center school building, and then grades 1, 2, 3, and 4 are at the Beaverbrook Elementary School, 5, 6 are at the Woodsdale School, 7, 8 are at the Frohlo Middle School, and then obviously the high school is 9, 12.
Are there any new personnel, obviously? We always have changeover. People retire, or people move to greener pastures, or move and want to be closer to their home.
That's one of the things we do over the summer. We hire the new teachers, paraprofessionals, tutors, or administration that's required, because there's always people that life circumstances, they retire, or they move, or they find a job someplace else. And so we've replaced those people, and I'm really excited because I really admire the people that I work with as I walk around the school buildings, that we have as our returning faculty and staff. And the new people are excited and energetic and off to make a good first impression with our students. And I've met with all of them. And actually today's a new teacher orientation day, so we go through stacks of roster schedules, curriculum, log-ons, all of the policies and forms that you're required to have in place. All the vetting and interviewing has taken place, reference checks have taken place, and they're just chomping at the bit to get going. And we don't have the most beautiful buildings. This is not going to be a newsflash to anybody. Our buildings are old. Our buildings are safe. Our buildings are used and not abused, but they're old. They're not the most beautiful facilities on the South Shore. As a matter of fact, I'm seriously concerned about the infrastructure, about the plumbing, about the electrical, about the roofs, and I can talk about that later. So we're not wealthy when it comes to buildings. I would say we're poor when it comes to our buildings and our infrastructure. But we are extremely wealthy, and we are rich with the people that we have that work with your kids. And when you pull away from the curb, as a parent, I would rather leave my children in a building where people are going to take care of them and care about their needs than pull away from a beautiful school building. It's best to have both. I think we can have both in Abington. I know we can, but I'm very proud of our faculty and staff.
I actually do a lot with the kids at coaching. One expression I've always used is the uniform does not make the player. The player makes the uniform. And as you said, the building itself isn't as important as the staff that's in there, working with our children and trying to improve their quality of life and trying to prepare them for the future. So I think we're all on the same page with that. We will get to the point, I hope, where we have a new school, and we're certainly going to talk about that.
Yep. And it's best for children, it's best for the community to have both.
Right.
The infrastructure we need with the staff that we need taking care of our kids. And we'll do both.
Yes. Now, I know second languages has always been a subject that people talk about. I think the Frollo had at one time Spanish. Do you know if they
We do.
We do, okay.
Yep. We were fortunate this year that we've added program in terms of foreign languages to Frollo, and every year foreign language becomes more and more important as our globe shrinks on us.
Yes.
And all you have to do is turn on the news to learn that if you want to be marketable and get a job, if you speak more than one language, from a practical standpoint, your value goes up exponentially. And so it's a critical function. It's what colleges require. And so we're proud and pleased that we've improved the foreign language program at the Frollo. And so students at the Frollo in grade 7 and 8, last year it was primarily grade 8. This year, grade 7 and 8 will have foreign language.
Excellent. And also, I understand you have an advanced math program at the Frollo.
Yep,
That's starting this year.
Yep. We've had that in past years.
Okay.
Every year there are revisions to that because we have to keep up to the most up-to-date curriculum, and the Common Core is a new curriculum that the state of Massachusetts is implementing in its schools, and so that's ready to go.
Excellent. Now, we talked about new programs. About the high school, any new programs that we might want to be aware of?
We've partnered with Abington Cable to provide a media class. Abington Cable has generously donated the funds to begin that program, and so students at the high school now have an opportunity to learn about, and talk about all aspects of the curriculum and about how exciting this is, about creating, which includes writing, I should say recording, not filming, because it's not a film anymore, it's all
right.
digital. Digital recordings, editing, producing videos, public public media presentations that'll go out on local cable about whatever it is that the class decides they're going to publish. It could be a musical performance, it could be an art exhibit, it could be an athletic event, it could be some exhibit of academic assessment, a science project. So whatever it is they decide to publish, promote, edit, create, produce, and so it does a lot of things. It gets more information out there into the community about what we're doing as a school system. It trains those students in a marketable vocation and skill that they may decide to go on and work for Pixar.
Sure.
And do digital art and or advertising in communication, or they may decide to be on the technical end of that career path, or a writer, or a producer, or you name it. It's a whole industry and vocation that we're excited about, just scratching the surface on and introducing to people. And I hope in years to come it becomes a broader part of our program of studies, because math, science, English, social studies, technology, you can wrap all of those things into that and really create a meaningful experience for kids at Abington High School.
It could be a gateway to Emerson College or something at this rate. You
Absolutely.
never know. And like I said, that opens up so many doors. Technically, we were setting this up earlier, and I had a lot of problems setting up. So there is a market for this, believe it or not. Emerson College, of course, is a big college that excels in not only getting actors and actresses to Hollywood and to New York, but also people who produce the shows, write the shows, and do the camera work, behind the scenes work. And every aspect of it you can incorporate, like Peter said, you can incorporate science, math, into whatever program you're recording and preparing. So again, it's a great gateway and could lead to new jobs for people. So
It's sort of like I described earlier. People see the yellow buses moving through the town and they think, oh, they're back to work. Well, behind the scenes, there's a lot that goes on to make sure that that yellow bus moves through the town, or that the food gets on the tray. You know, we have to be ready to serve 2,100 students lunch, a hot lunch. Now they don't all take lunch, but a lot goes into that. Food prep, ordering, menus, calorie calculations. So when we watch TV, right now it's you and I on a screen, but behind the scenes, there's a whole thing that has to take place in terms of editing, process, technical aspects, filming that are career paths for people.
a lot of you students that take buses, preparing bus routes must be a huge task.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to do that the week before school starts.
I always say to our people who are working in this area, you know, how many students are we allowed to lose? And the answer is zero.
Zero.
And so those rosters, those routes, those addresses, those passes are critical because you're not allowed to lose anybody.
Okay, now, so that any other new courses? The media, of course, is a big program at the high school. Any other things I can think of that are new or people look forward to that's different?
Well, I mean, our system's a good system. It has what a public school system needs to serve its community. We've got students, you know, last year that have gone on to Ivy League schools, state schools, private colleges, two-year colleges, and go to, we have students that go directly to work and students go into the military. And so, I mean, that's the entire spectrum in America.
Right.
You know, we've got students, former students of ours that are doctors and lawyers and are doing foreign service through in foreign embassies.
If I could just stop you there, Mrs. Stavropoulos' daughter.
Right. Yeah,
It's the
just
first
last year.
example,
Yeah.
right? I think she's in Hungary, but somewhere in that area, as in the diplomatic corps.
Right. Right. One of our keynotes last year at the award ceremony was you know, an investment banker, entrepreneurial young lady who is now you know, moving from venture capital project to venture capital project. And she's a former Admiral grad. I mean, and our recent grads are off into that, into engineering and aerospace and mechanical and chemical, and you know, it's just that's what our kids do. The entire spectrum of opportunities is available to them, and you know, people don't realize that. And I specifically didn't name any one college because imagine in your mind what you would consider the best college in the country, and the whole range. Again, Ivy League, private, public, state public. I mean, they go there.
Right.
And it's not just last year, it's every year. So the opportunities are there for our students.
And as you know, not one college suits everyone's needs.
No.
That's why it's, like
No.
you said, the military and vocational
Correct.
work, and it's important because there's no cookie fitter. I mean,
No.
you know, cookies, it's just everyone wants to do what is best to suit their future needs. And fortunately, we're providing that. You've been providing that with your staff. Now let's talk about the building, if you don't mind. The building
Sure.
committee, the feasibility study, and where we're at. And
Sure. So Abington is engaged in a feasibility study, and let me say this at the outset. I'm the superintendent of schools, so of course I'm going to tell you want to build a school. And so let me tell you that the building committee is predominantly made up of residents, and it's been great to work with these people. The amount of data, the amount of meetings, the amount of work that we've been able to go through with the professional engineers and architects that we're working with is impressive. And you can go on the Abington School Building Committee website at www.asbc.us to get more information about it and see some of these things. Because what we've done is we've partnered with the Massachusetts School Building Authority to do this study. The reason we have to have professional architects and engineers working with us is that in order to receive grant money to do these things in Abington, the state wants to make sure that you're being economical, practical, and providing the best recommendation to meet the needs of your children. The state wants to get a lot of bang for its buck. You hear about a lot of problems from different state agencies and a lot of scandal. You haven't heard that from the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Their ship is right, and it's an impressive state entity, organization. And so right at the ground level, they want you narrowing the study of your focus, but not so narrow that you don't narrow the focus of your study, but not so narrow that you miss something. So every step of the way you have to submit documents to them, and you can't go any further until you prove to them that their money has been well spent. Because by the way, they're paying for more than half of the study we're conducting. They're paying for approximately 56.5% of this study here in Abington. So we hire the architects and engineers with that money. We have a committee of 21 people, both residents, elected officials, and then school personnel. We've been working all summer in a working group and narrowing the focus of the studies and then doing the studies. Because, for example, you can't just take a whole town and say, well, we think we want to build on a piece of land, and then you approve it, and then you find out there's, you know, rock ledge or hazardous materials, and then the costs just, you don't want any surprises.
Right.
And you want to spend as little money as possible to leverage the maximum benefit for a community. And that's what this is about. It's all about practicality, economy, and providing the best solution for Abington's needs. And so, you know, I want to answer for you the who, what, where, when, and why behind all of this. So the who is this committee made up of Abington residents, elected officials, and school personnel. You can check the website out. Every single community around Abington has already built schools through this process. The only one that hasn't already built a school around us that I can think of is Holbrook, and they're doing the same thing we are. They're in the process.
Right. Actually, there was some talk about maybe doing a regional one between Abington
Right.
and Holbrook.
Right. There was talk about that.
Right.
But Hanover, Rockland, West Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, Whitman-Hanson have all had the state come and help them build facilities to improve the infrastructure of their community. Most importantly, to improve the education for their children. And at some point, you know, Abington needs to do this. You know, if you need to be convinced, of course, I'm the superintendent of schools. I'm going to say that. Please remember that 3 of our buildings were built at the end of the Depression.
We're in one of them.
We're in one of them. And you know, that means that they were really well built, impressive how well built they are. However, education has changed since the Depression. If you want Abington, if you want our nation, if you want our children to be successful and to participate as a world superpower that we are, I take great pride in that as a patriot, you better educate your citizens. And so I hear people all the time say, you know, I don't send kids to the school, but I pay my taxes. And it's with great appreciation and great respect that those tax dollars go into maintaining this democracy and creating citizens that are productive individuals that support that democracy. And that's our mission, both for the individual and for this town, for this state, and for this country. And I apologize if I get a little on my soapbox about that, but I just believe that in my heart. That's what we do. You know, you can't have a strong military without people that are ready to serve, who are educated. You can't have a strong economy without people working who are employable, who are responsible individuals who have an education. And so that's what we do for this great land. And at the same time, that's what we do for the individual so that they can have a better life. Again, I'm sorry,
No,
Bob.
that's not a
I get on a
soapbox. No,
soapbox, and I
that's not.
apologize to the people that are watching, but that's what drives me, and that's why it's important in my mind to support education. And so, you know, if you live in Abington and you don't have kids in the system, please know that those individuals that you're paying for their education with great appreciation, that money's not wasted. We all need to spend that if we want to live in a society that is the great society that we live in.
It improves their quality of life, the students that we process through and graduate, and also improves the quality of life of the community because they excel at what they do.
And so for lots of reasons, we need to build and improve our infrastructure with regard to schools, even if you don't have kids in the system. First and foremost, it's the best thing to do for the children of Abington, without question. State-of-the-art technologies come with new schools, playing fields will be improved, fine arts centers will be developed and provided so that both music and art and technology and the academics are improved in terms of the facility. Just without question, it's good for kids. So that's the first and most important reason. The second reason is that reason I talked about in terms of our place in society and what we need to do, I think, as a nation to support our citizens so that we can have a strong democracy. Third is the fiscal aspect. It's fiscally responsible to have an infrastructure that you're not throwing good money down a hole. I mean, the pipes in the Frollo are Depression-era pipes. That doesn't mean there's lead in them. That doesn't mean that the water is unsafe to drink because it's tested every single year to a higher respect, to a higher standard than people in their homes have their drinking water. The kids, when you send them to school, are safer drinking the water at the schoolhouse. But those pipes are going to break.
Right.
They do break. And when you get a flood of water on the third floor, which we've had in our buildings, and the water penetrates into the floor and into the wall where the asbestos is encapsulated, and again, we do inspections, we do wipe tests, air tests on asbestos, it's all encapsulated. But when that happens and you fix it, you're throwing good money down a hole. And I give you an example at the Frollo. There's a Garaventer there that's used as an elevator system that we can't even get parts for. That Garaventer wasn't even a part of the original building, okay? So it's not going to be handicap accessible. It was retrofitted, and now even the retrofit is out of date.
Sure.
And so the building will be handicap accessible. So we can put an elevator shaft in there for a ton of money.
Right.
And we can climb into the wall and pull the pipes out. And we can do all of the panels and the electrical again because we have to have computers in classrooms. We don't have the electrical capacity to handle it. And so you do all of those things in that building, in a beautiful building that I love. I mean, I was the principal there for 7 years. I love that building. But you can do all of those things and throw that money in there, and then you've got all those hazmats with asbestos, with other materials, and the tiles and the floor and the ceiling. Again, they're all encapsulated. They all test annually to make sure that they're safe. Or the boiler and the heating system. I mean, you name it, you go on and on and on. And in the end, the building doesn't serve the best function and purpose for our kids because it's not up to date.
Sure.
So then you dispose of those hazmats, you remediate all these things, and you're still left with a building where the rooms are undersized and it doesn't provide for you the infrastructure that you need to provide the program for the kids that you want. So if you're being fiscally responsible, you're taking this reimbursement from the state at 56 to 59% on the dollar that they're going to fund this, and you're providing new or renovated schools for your children. And so right now we're looking at what a middle school would look like for Abington, or what a middle school, high school combination, 2 separate buildings, co-located they call it, because you can share a gymnasium and a cafeteria. Students are there at different times, so you've got those younger students that don't mix with the high school students, separate entrances, for them, where they can share the economy of the same library or cafeteria, same playing fields, but have separate school experiences and not interact with each other.
Right.
So we're looking at all of that, and we hope to make a recommendation to the town in another year around that. So if we fail, at some point, with buildings that were built in the Depression, and the youngest building being, I think it's 50 plus years old, 52, 53 years old, that's the baby in the district. I mean, last year at the high school, we lost a heating pipe in the wall, and it flooded the first floor. We lost school time. We had to make it up. That cost money. We had a hole in the roof in the Paul K. Smith room, which is the only area for large meeting space at the high school. That room was shut down for a month. And you think about being responsible. So the first thing I say is, well, let's check all the pipes in the building to see what's the next one that's going to be to break. Come to find out, we had already done that inspection. Prior to the pipe breaking, you can't see those pipes that are apt to break. You can't tell where the corrosion is in those pipes. And so on any given day, we could get another one. We had already done those inspections. We've done those inspections again to the best of our ability to ensure that if something's going to burst, we fix it before it bursts, but you can't see it.
Exactly.
If this doesn't work, with us making a reasonable, responsible, economical, practical solution to the town, then eventually the town's going to do this on its own. Because at some point you have to.
Right.
How long can you let your house decay before you fix it? Or before you renovate, make major renovations?
Right.
At some point you have to do that. And so, I mean, even if someone's living in a house right now that was built at the end of the Depression, I can guarantee you've done more to modify and improve that house and bring it up to code than we've done in our school buildings with what we need to do to provide for kids in education. And at the same time, we've almost been our own worst enemies because we've responsibly managed these buildings. They are safe. They're inspected the way that I described. So I don't mean to talk out of both sides of my mouth. On one side, I'm telling you how desperately we need these, and on the other side, I want you to send your kids here. They're safe. Both are true.
Yeah.
And my fear is that we need to take advantage of this opportunity now in this town, when the state's going to pay for the majority of this. Reasonable, responsible, fiscally conservative, but practical approach that provides the program that kids need. And this study will give us the best recommendation, and then it'll be up to the citizens, to vote on it. And one of the things is where's the school going to go? The place we're looking at primarily is already a school site. It's up at Abington High School. That doesn't mean it's going to go there. It doesn't mean that's what the recommendation is going to be. But right now, as we talk about things, that's the preferred option. Previously, under the old SBA, School Building Authority, there wasn't enough room there under their guidelines that they used to make you follow. They called them guidelines, but they made you follow them. Now, under the new MSBA, there is enough room there. And they think that through architecture, they can improve the playing field space up there, and again, be very economical about the use of space and provide a better program for kids. And so now's the time. Now, those first two things I said, that students need it and it's economically responsible, those are just facts. And you can look at the assessments that professionals have done on what we project for repairs and costs and the age of the building, and fact check that.
Sure.
The third piece of this, or the last piece of this, is an opinion that's a prevailing opinion that I've heard. And that is that in terms of the value of this community, in terms of the property values and real estate and what this community needs to continue to maintain its status, improve its status, and be a healthy, viable community for people to move into, to be a place that people want to stay in, that you need a good school infrastructure. Now, that's an opinion that I've heard from a lot of people, so I want to call it an opinion from people, because I don't work in real estate. I don't know that's a fact. That's been the prevailing opinion that I've heard from real estate people. The first two are facts. For our children, we need to do this, and in terms of just being responsible with our infrastructure, economically, we need to do this. I went off on a
No,
tangent
that's
there.
what I want people to know. That's why I asked you that specifically. Now, assuming we come through with an opinion that we should do it at the high school, and we're going to do a co-junior high and high school, then what's the step? The town votes on it.
Right.
Then the construction begins
Right.
X amount of time later, and the state still reimburses?
Yes.
Okay.
The
So
state-
we actually have to kind of do it in a reasonable amount of time, because what if 5 years from now they do away with the state agency, saying, look, it's costing the state taxpayers too much money. You know, why should we be responsible for building a building in Abington?
Right now, 1 penny of all of our sales tax dollars goes to school construction in Massachusetts. Every time you have to pay that tax at the register, 1 penny of it goes to build schools. And so we have all built
Right.
50,
East Bridgewater High
60%
School.
of the school in East Bridgewater.
Right.
We have all built 50, 60% of the school in Rockland.
Right.
We have all built those schools all around the Commonwealth, in the western part of the state.
Sure.
When are the residents of Abington going to take advantage of that program to have a school for themselves?
Right, for our
That's new
students.
and up to date.
Sure.
And that's good to know, I think.
No, it's important to know.
And if we don't do this, we go to the back of the line.
Sure.
We're approved for this now. If MSBA continues with us to walk through this with us, if we get our submittals in, if our technicals look good, if we've done our homework, we've done the diligence that we need to do here, then they'll reimburse.
There's got to be other towns that are going through the same process. And if I was a state agency, of course I'm going to go with the ones that are prepared, that have their homework done, that have all the paperwork submitted properly, and that have a working, viable plan. So obviously this is something that we...
You want to talk about, the regional piece with Holbrook. People had talked about that.
Right.
And there wasn't a move from the residents of Abington to regionalize with Holbrook. And so that's how and why that ended.
But at least it was discussed.
We have got lots of information about the costs. People initially think that regionalization saves money. It really doesn't. It does improve program for students, because, and it's a reason that it would be a good thing, because you're combining the numbers of students that you have. So you can, we've got more kids in one area, you can offer them more program. But there aren't cost savings, because you're picking up the cost of transportation, curriculum, technology, platforms are different. You're equalizing contracts between all of the different groups there. Yep, teachers, professionals, and all of those things. And so you do save perhaps in administration. But now you've got more students, more teachers, so you still need administration to provide the support, the coverage, the supervision, evaluation, the management of that. So the money that you save, perhaps on the administrative aspect, you do end up spending in other areas. And regionals are treated like their own municipalities in the Commonwealth. So the towns would actually have less control over a regional than they do over their locally controlled schools. And so I'm not against regionalization with Holbrook by any stretch of the imagination, if that's what I hear people want to talk about and do. I just haven't heard that. So, but I am for improving the program for kids in Abington, and certainly constructing a school is what we need to do for those children.
But also mentioned, when it improves the quality of the taxpayers, dollar really, when you have a good school program and a new facility, you attract some new teachers too, in a sense. Not that the teachers we don't want to get rid of, but it just brings new vibrancy and new life to the community. And I know in a lot of like Wayne and stuff in Rockland, it becomes more of a center of the town's activities too. You mentioned in particular the drama. I mean, we don't have a legitimate facility. Steve Shannon puts on a tremendous show every year. And it's if we had a new facility, that's one of the things I'm sure that'd be incorporated, a professional type of drama.
And these are now community use buildings. And they would be, when we build new schools or renovate, they would be community use facilities. There's a benefit to our seniors. Perhaps there's an indoor walking area that's a part of the gymnasium.
Right.
So you're not building an indoor walking area just for seniors, but you're building an athletic area for everybody, for your program of studies, and while you're doing it, for your PE, for your sports, and while you're doing it, you're keeping the seniors in mind so that the facility also meets their needs. So you're not spending more money, you're just thinking about it better and more economically to take care of our seniors. Or for other activities in the community, whether it's a men's or women's basketball, volleyball, fine arts, performances. It adds to the richness of the community. So you've got the facilities to support those. And then obviously for our students, it's a home run.
It's area, exactly.
It goes without saying.
And this wouldn't be open from 7 to 3. You're talking all day,
Yep.
nighttime affairs.
And when, in the Depression, they didn't think that way about their school buildings. That you could have a separate wing that's the fine arts area that can be locked, alarmed, and controlled and used separate from the rest of the building, but the rest of the building can use it during operational time. The same with the gymnasium space. Right now we're really limited with what we can do and what we provide. So this is for the whole community.
No doubt about it. Speaking of community, I noticed here at this facility, there used to be a playground outside this building. We're at the North School, by the way, the old North School, not the administration building. Can you explain, tell me what happened?
I can tell you a lot about this building because this is a great building, and we do occupy this building for administrative offices because we have to have a place to work. If I have a coffee pot and a computer and a telephone, I can do my job anywhere. That's what I need, a place to meet with people. But we also rent out part of the facility to North River Collaborative, and that's why you see the vans around the building. And they use office space here, and that helps us pay to keep the lights on. And it defrays the cost of operation for the place we need. So it's an economical and responsible way to provide that space that we need to be productive and manage a school system. But around this building, one of the areas that North River Collaborative uses is a community outreach area for toddlers. So any parent who has small children in Abington or some of the surrounding communities can come here for a program that's really a preschool program. And these are little kids.
Right.
And so they're downstairs in a room. They use that space, and it's a great program. And we're a schoolhouse that's going to accommodate. And then just outside the door, we had a playground that had a slide that was 7, 8, 9 feet high, and it wasn't up to the standards or codes because it was getting rusty and falling apart. And those students, they're too little. You don't put a toddler.
Better not put one
you
on a 9-foot slide.
don't put a toddler down a 9-foot slide. And you don't put a toddler down a 9-foot rusty slide either.
Right.
So we looked at that equipment, we evaluated it, and we either needed to upgrade it so that people didn't get hurt, or take it down. And people weren't using it. And as much as I want to have playground space and space for kids, to have these vans coming in and out and the traffic coupled with unsafe playground equipment in an area that kids aren't using the equipment anyway, surrounded by a rusty fence that has holes in it, that creates a false sense of security for people.
Sure.
That they think that their children are safe if they do come here to use the equipment. Now to replace the fence would have cost tens of thousands of dollars. And to fix the fence would have cost $10,000+. And so what we did was I checked with Park and Rec, I checked with all of our youth sports teams, I checked with our athletic program and in our program, and there was nobody that said, no, we need to save that fence at the North School. Everybody told me that they weren't using it. And so the responsible thing to do, which is the safe thing to do, is to take and remove the rusty, inappropriate equipment, because you don't want us putting tens of thousands of dollars into an old fence that isn't being used. You would rather have us put tens of thousands of dollars into textbooks, technology, providing for kids.
Right.
And so the responsible decision was to take down the fence and remove the equipment. And that's kind of counterintuitive for people because they go, well, it's a schoolyard. You know, why are they taking the playground equipment away? But I hope now that I provided the reason,
Certainly, it's good
that
to
makes
know
sense.
that, yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned the sports, in particular at Abington High School. Now we have a new athletic director
Yeah,
and
Kate
co-director.
Schafer. Yeah, and Kate Casey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I happened to be at a meeting last night with the parents of athletes, and what a great presentation was. And they went over the school rules and the
Yep.
league rules, and there are some new changes. But Pete and Kate were very instrumental in explaining that to the parents. And I think it's great that they do that because there are certain rule changes that a lot of us wouldn't be aware of. And so Pete, I think, can work out well. I haven't been a graduate.
And people get frustrated by the rules and the MIAA. Let me say this: they're designed to keep kids safe and to make things fair. Because if you didn't have the eligibility rules, and you didn't have the concussion policies, and you didn't have the standards that we have, in sports, crazy things would go on in communities across Massachusetts. So it is a pain in the neck to have everybody get a physical. It's a pain in the neck to do baseline concussion studies on everybody who's playing a contact sport and other sports. But if you step back and think about it, you go, well, it's really not a bad thing
Right.
that there's a fair playing field.
And it's consistent. Right.
And there will always be people that try to exploit it or to take advantage of it, to get an unfair advantage. And, if you love the game, you also got to love the people that try to keep everybody playing by the rules. I mean, I love to complain about, refs in hockey like everybody else. Hockey's my passion.
Right.
But if it weren't for the guy in the stripes calling penalties, there wouldn't be the game that I love.
Exactly.
And so I know those things are a pain in the neck for people, but they're really important to maintain the integrity of providing a quality program for kids. And I'm glad you said that to me because it made me think of something else. I had to send out a publication yesterday afternoon that because of the EEE, the Eastern Equine Encephalitis threat in the area, that we can only have sports during daylight hours.
Dawn to dusk.
Yeah. So from dusk till dawn, we've really shut down and we're rescheduling everything. And then if there are away games, what we do is we check the Department of Public Health's website and make sure that their area is not at a high risk. And if it is, then we reschedule. Now, there may be some games that are rescheduled regardless. That also depends on what that away game school department is doing. But I can tell you in Abington, and EEE is a terrible illness, and it's just not worth taking the chance.
Exactly.
When they give you the responsibility to act in the benefit of children as best you can and keep them safe, it makes the decision easy. And we're lucky that the Board of Health, our health agent, is on top of things. She recommended that we do this, and it's the prevailing wisdom of all the communities really that are in this area that we shut things down from dusk till dawn, so we limit the opportunity that somebody could get bitten by one of those mosquitoes. It's going to give them a disease that's going to kill them.
Right.
And that's not to scare people. We're trying to be responsible about it. It doesn't mean that life ends or that you don't go out outside. But people, I sent an email out to people. If you'd like to get these emails from the school department about things like this, if you go to www.abingtonps.org, there's a place where you can sign up for our email list. And what I did was I crafted an email that told people about our restrictions around because of the mosquitoes, and then gave them the link to the Department of Public Health's website that shows you specifically what things you can do to help keep you and your family safer. And the thing about, I'm a superintendent of schools. I do curriculum with teachers and books and schoolhouses. I never thought I'd be, somebody who studies mosquitoes.
Right.
But I can tell you what I've learned from my experiences with this over the last couple of years is we will be in this now, this cycle of caution, and restriction until the first hard frost. The first hard frost is when you have to go out and scrape your window
Right, the
in the
windshield in
morning.
your car, right.
Yeah, the windshield in your car. It's not when it gets cold enough that you see a little bit of ice or a little coating. It's a hard frost because that knocks down the mosquito population, those biting mosquitoes that transmit the disease. Now, West Nile is also out there, but and that's a terrible disease also. But Triple E is the one that really has taken lives in Massachusetts.
And that's like I said, because Ramon just died at South Shore Hospital as a result of that. So I know in the news that I saw, they specifically cite Weymouth, Rockland, Whitman, Hanson. They didn't mention Abington, but we're surrounded by all of those.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I say mosquitoes don't know where the town line is.
right.
And I don't want to panic people about it at all, because if you take reasonable precautions, you're in good shape and you're safe. And restricting people on a playing field from dusk till dawn is a responsible precaution to take. It's interesting is we're certainly protecting our kids, but when you're a football player wearing full equipment and you're running around, you're probably not going to get bit by a mosquito. But the kids that go to the games,
Exactly.
the parents, everybody in the community, and the kids in the field are at risk.
I agree.
And so we just don't want to create that environment. And,
We're not taking away anyone's livelihood, just
No.
postponing it 12 hours or something.
and God forbid, something does happen. You never know where and when somebody got bitten by that mosquito. But we just want to limit the
Exposure.
odds
Yeah, right.
that might happen.
It just made me think about the athletic program. We have an athletic fee in town,
Yep.
and I believe it's $175. And one of the things Mr. Serino mentioned was that obviously with this economy, a lot of students may not be able to pay the full thing,
Right.
or may not be able to pay, and there are waivers available, I understand.
Yes.
And also the Gridiron Club is willing to sponsor some kids. So I just want to make sure that, of course you're aware, but that the viewers are aware that if you have kids that want to participate, that finances won't be the last
No.
draw.
No, it's wrong that a public school charges fees. However, every Massachusetts public school is doing that.
Right.
Some of the regional vocationals haven't had to do that, but
They're a separate entity.
they're a separate
Right.
entity. But public schools, all of the public schools do. That doesn't pay for the sport. It doesn't pay for the bus.
Right.
It helps cut the cost down
Exactly.
so that we can provide that to kids. We need to provide that to kids. It makes us a healthy school system and promotes what we need to promote our kids. But we don't want that fee to be a reason somebody can't do something. We need that money to help defray the costs, but we don't want that to be a reason somebody doesn't participate. So you got to let us know. You got to talk to us,
Yeah.
especially on those sports.
It's important because that's a significant money, and like Peter said, it doesn't take away the cost of it, but it certainly nibbles at some of the expense.
The cost to provide lunch, the cost to run the bus, the cost to provide sports is more than any fee anybody's paying.
And I'm not surprised.
However, we need that money to run those programs, and if people have difficulty with it, we want to know, we want to try to work with you to find a way to still make it happen, because it's our responsibility to provide those things.
It's part of the education, right.
Yeah.
And so please, if you feel you're in that boat, have your son or your daughter talk to the coach.
Yep.
I think that's why Pete explained it, that no matter what the issue is, if you can have the player talk to the coach, no matter what the sport is, then the coach can talk to the athletic director, and if it still has to go further, the athletic director can talk to the school principal, and the school principal can talk to Mr. Schafer. So.
Or if your kid, I know my kids, they might not want to.
Go forward to the coach.
If you want to
Right.
call the school and talk to the principal,
Feel free to do
feel
that.
free, talk to the athletic director about
Because
that.
as you say, some students would be shy about it and
Yeah.
wouldn't want to bring that up.
They'll give you the process.
And also school lunches, as we said, that some people,
Oh.
what's the,
Well, let me tell you about school lunch. We have to go up on our lunch price by 10 cents. So I'm glad you said that. We got a letter from the federal government, from the FDA, the state, and the state that provides oversight around the school lunch program, that we need to go up to $2.50 a lunch. And you can't buy a meal for $2.50. And so and we're required to provide a healthier and a wider variety of foods now than ever before. So, but the reason we have to go up is in order for us to get our reimbursement from the federal government for the lunches that we do provide, we have to go up that amount of money. We just found out about that 2 weeks ago. So we want to start the year with the $2.50 designation. So we've done that. I should tell people about that. It's $2.50, and I know $2.50 over 180 days is a lot of money, but kids have to eat.
Exactly.
And if they don't like the lunch, you can come with a lunch.
Bring your own, right?
But I'll bet you the lunch that's in the bag costs $2.50, that the children bring costs $2.50 or more.
Right.
So.
Yeah, if you just bring in a pint of milk, half a pint of milk, you pay 50 cents at the school. You're not going to get that elsewhere.
I know there are people out there right now saying I put a lunch in a bag for less than $2.50 and it's a healthy lunch, and I give you a lot of credit.
Right.
You're better than me. I couldn't do it.
I can actually attest to this. You may do that and send this child to school with it, but I'd say 8 out of 10 of those end up in the trash because a lot of the kids are very particular about what they eat. Having worked at the Furlough in particular in the high school, a lot of kids just aren't going to bother.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what else is pressing. Nothing comes immediately to mind. If they have any questions,
please call 781-982-2150 is the superintendent's office. You're always best with building level questions to call the building in particular, because those are the people that are right at on the front line with all of those things to give you the most accurate, up-to-date information. Visit our website at www.abingtonps.org. The school building website is www.asbc.us. There are links to both on both of the websites if you're going to go back and forth. And I'm excited to start another school year.
We look forward to working with you again this year, and I hope it's as productive as 2012, 2013 was.
Thank you for taking time out of your day
please.
to help us get this
If
out.
we all help each other out and pitch in a little bit, and many hands make light work.
Appreciate it.
And we want to get the right information out so people have accurate information. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. We have a couple events coming up. Christy Coombs is going to be sponsoring the Jeff Coombs Road Race. I believe it's September 8th. Peggy Whitman's daughter's fundraiser is, I believe, September 28th. But I'll get definite information on that. Maybe we can get Peggy or some of her family to come on. Any events coming up that are particularly fundraising events or something that's going to help improve the quality of life here, please let me know. I can be reached at 2e44@verizon.net. I do check it occasionally. The best way probably to reach me is at home, 781-792-1957. Peter, again, thanks for taking time out of your schedule.
Thank you.
And let's keep Abington strong.